Okay, so we'll look forward to that in the future. So let's get down to, I think they're saying brass tacks now. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts, the most important thing here, because we've not skirted around the edges, but I think we've built a good platform to talk about the content itself now. So we've got an image, a hero image, we've got a title. What comes next in this post? And I guess how long should it be as well, just to set expectations here?
Yeah, so your first port of call is your introduction, your opening few lines, and this could be 2, 3 lines, maybe a couple of small paragraphs, but it's the first things they're going to read. And again, you have a short amount of time to win their attention, the right for them to then kind of read on. So it needs to open up nice and strong. Now, hopefully, you've obviously caught their attention with your headline and your image. So you've got a good subject. You then just want to set the scene. You want to, lay the land, get everything ready for the story that's about to follow. So people write in different ways. I write as I speak. So I think if you go back onto, and you can go onto my profile, look through all my articles, you'll see I sort of do sort of 2, 3 lines, very short sentences, essentially like I'm telling a story. And I will write it as if I was speaking it. It's not about writing. I don't write an article the same way I'd write a book. But it's just to try and lure people in, get them interested. But you need to make sure you get to the point quite quickly and tell them exactly what they're going to achieve by reading that article. So what benefit are they going to get by continuing to read? What's at the end of this article? What value are they going to get? So that you get them to buy in and want to read it from start to finish. You need to be upfront with that. So yeah, make it engaging, make it nice and simple, but give them a reason to read on.
For sure. I like to frame things up, and I do this less so in LinkedIn articles because I don't write very many of them, but more in YouTube videos and longer form content and the training products that we have. I will give people the why at the top of, you do this and you're going to get this, this, and this. That's why you should be interested. And then I move into the how. So I engage people emotionally at the top, and then we go into the actual content and the training at the bottom. Now, just to give more context for the audience here, each of these interviews or conversations, I guess, that me and Daniel have, I write down in a Google Doc, have it up on the screen with me, and I've done it here. So we're in this, obviously, video podcast, we're talking about LinkedIn articles. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was, why do we, literally, I'm reading verbatim now, quoting, do we even need to bother with LinkedIn articles? That was the first part of this conversation, just to make it real for the audience of what we're doing here. Of that then tees up the rest of it, because clearly it's a rhetorical question. We know that there is a need to do this, otherwise we wouldn't be recording this episode, or it would have been the shortest episode of all time, of Daniel turning around and going, nope, and then me going, that was the Social Selling Show, thanks for tuning in, and doing our outro. But that rhetorical question then enables the reader, the viewer, whoever's consuming the content, to go, oh, okay, emotionally I need to buy into this. Now, how do I practically do it? So that's how I like to set up the intros of all our content as well. Okay, so we've got the intro. The person is now hopefully hooked because they've clicked a link with the headline. They've seen the image, even if it's kind of in the background, but it's caught their attention. They've got that initial hook. What comes next after that?
So then you got to tell the story, Will. Then you need to go through everything. So let's say we're going to do the top, and maybe we'll do this, Will, after this episode, the top 10 social selling tips shared on the Social Selling Show. I'll find a better title. That's quite a long title. We open it up and we lay the land of recording these episodes and all the tips we've covered and the messages we get from people that it's impacting. Then we're going to go, so then the middle part is the 10 tips. So then we're going to go tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, etc., and take people through all those tips. Now, again, we're going to break some of them up. So after some of the tips, there might be an image. Maybe it's a quote that's sort of wrapped around that specific tip. Maybe it's a meme that's going to sort of make it a bit more entertaining. Maybe we're going to link another article or an episode directly that goes into more detail with the tip. But either way, those 10 tips are going to be written in an engaging way that flow nicely, that give the value. The middle part of your article is the value giver. So you're just giving value, and they're going to want to keep reading because each bit they're reading is going to give more and more value. So that's your middle bit, the value giver. You've caught their attention, you've hooked them in. Now you're going to give the value. That's your middle part.
You've said something really interesting here. I call this the rabbit hole effect. So I like to do this with all our content of, they read one bit and they go, oh, that's interesting. And they open a new tab with the next article, and then they carry on reading, and then they go, oh, I'll just check out his profile. And they click on that. And then they go back to the article you just linked to, which is now a podcast. So they go, okay, I'll get my app out. I'll download that podcast. And now they're in your ecosystem. And now they're going to see your content in the feed. Hopefully they've added you as a contact on LinkedIn. They're going to now get into the podcast. And so these multiple threads, marketers call it some pretentious term, I can't remember what it is, but essentially you're multi-threading the marketing that's coming at them. So they're seeing it from all different angles. So that's what I really like to do with our content, whether it be video, audio, smaller pieces on social media, the LinkedIn content that's definitely coming. We touched this on a few episodes ago, that Daniel's going to coach me through a little bit of LinkedIn training, and we're going to measure the before and after of either my own profile or maybe salesman.org's profile, because that's even less traffic, as zero traffic essentially. So that might be a better case study of improving that as a corporate profile. But that's all coming. So the story element of this now, you can give me your thoughts on this, Daniel, but I like to think of this as the classic, the hero's journey. So every Disney film of all time, dead simple. Someone or something is kind of stuck in a rut. They're plodding along. We'll use Lord of the Rings, right? Frodo is happy as heck, living in his little hobbit hole. And then something comes and shakes up everything. Now, with Frodo, it's the ring, it's changes, it's Gandalf, it's forces beyond his control. He has to then go and grow and change and develop and improve, to then go back to, most of the time, they go back to their old life and they say, hey, this probably wasn't what I wanted originally, and now I'm a better person for this, and I can move on, and I've progressed in my life. Now, in the Lord of the Rings films, let me ask, do you enjoy Lord of the Rings before I go too far into this anecdote?
I'm all for Lord of the Rings, Will. Carry on, I'm loving it.
So I've not read the books, but I know one of the criticisms about the films is that at the end of the books, it's called the scouring of the Shire, and the Shire's just been decimated, whereas in the films, they all go back and it's all happy and friendly. So the point of the scouring of the Shire was that the hobbits now need to, again, develop, change, and grow, and the cycle doesn't just stop with a nice happy ending. It continues forward. And I think it's because Tolkien, the author, was... it didn't like it was a kind of outspoken about war and all these kind of things. So the book was supposed to be a metaphor about war never being good and not and being bad. And I think George R. R. Martin wanted to double down on that with Game of Thrones, and that's if you've seen the TV show, I won't ruin it for anyone who's just reading the books. That has a similar kind of effect of he wants to paint a picture that all war is bad. So with that being said, these different stages of if you're describing a case study of an individual within a post, or even if you're doing a listicle, it could be the fact that this, and this is kind of standard what you should be doing. But if shit hits the fan, this is what you need to be doing. And then the last few points could be at the end of doing all this, you'll have these benefits as well. So that's how I like to structure all our content with this. You'd think it would get boring over time because almost every single film, piece of content, anything that's decent media-wise uses the hero's journey structure. But clearly we're wired as humans to really kind of absorb these lessons, because that's how we would have learned around the campfire, I guess, thousands of years ago. So is there anything to add to that, Daniel? Do you use any other structures, or is the hero's journey a fair way to approach this?
No, I think you're right, Will. The hero journey is a tried, tested, proven method that will work for many years to come. Again, it's about taking them on a journey. It's about giving them value, and it's about making it as engaging as possible. You want to get them from start to finish, and the only way you're going to do that is to write something engaging. What I will say, we're talking about this in quite an in-depth way that could be quite scary to people. If you've never written an article before, if you're not a writer, you might be listening to this and thinking, "Oh my God, I can't do this. I'm not a writer, Will." I didn't study literature. I say I'm not a writer. I've got 2 books, I guess. So yeah, okay, technically I am, but I'm not a trained writer. Yeah. I have very little confidence in writing. What I will say is that choose subjects and topics that you're passionate about and knowledgeable about, because you'll find it a lot easier, or your own stories to tell, and then just practice. Before I wrote my first article, which I think I wrote in 2015, no experience in writing. Mm-hmm. I just wrote something, and I think my first one was a listicle one. It was a couple of sales quotes that inspired me, but that got me started. And so start in a nice, simple, easy way. Anyone can write. Trust me. Like I say, no writing background, lots of articles now. Anyone can write. Don't be intimidated. Everyone has the power and potential. And salespeople, especially, a lot of salespeople have good writing skills. They craft good emails. They craft good proposals. It's just turning a slight creativity switch and looking at it in a different way to sort of telling stories. So yeah, for anyone who's a bit nervous about writing articles, most of you will probably have some ability to do it. It's just about practicing, trying, and getting better.